Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Mike.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Nate.
And this is an episode on a synod about synods. So, recently, our bishop, the Most Reverend Earl Boyer, invited all of us to participate in a synodal conversation.
Yes, and that was the shortest homily we've had forever, because it was 5 minutes and 36 seconds long.
And like super on point. The bishop, he dug right in. He hit all the bullet points, and he focused on the points and the end.
So, at a recent weekend's masses, the bishop delivered the homily. In those places with a video capability, he had a video.
Mm-hmm.
They also said that some people, they could just play the audio. I know in at least one parish, the parish priest read the bishop's homily.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's better than, like, growing up, occasionally our bishop would say something, and it would be like substitute teacher day at school where they had, like, the little cart with the... and it's like the TV screen's this big for, you know...
A church of 400 people.
Yeah. Yep. So just, if you've got projectors, use them. Mm. So, of course, to not a little mockery, Pope Francis has announced that from 2021 until 2023, the Church is to embark upon a synodal process with ridiculously childish logos and whatnot. Here, it arrived in the Diocese of Lansing with these super cool and much better logoed conversation guides.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, plus, for our diocese, we were ahead, because we did a whole 3 series of meetings. Mm-hmm. Of which, for the second and the third one, we were involved. And it was, you know, essentially, first we have the people who work at church who are churchy. Then we have the general churchy people. And then we have everyone.
So we are experts at having meetings on meetings.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And this is all about, you know, we want to have conversations with everyone. So he's like, hey, remember when we did that whole thing about, you know, meeting people?
Hey.
I have a booklet.
So, a lot of people have asked, what is the synodal process for? Especially because, well, most of us, me included, don't really know what a synod is or what a synodal church is supposed to look like.
I assumed it was a made-up, you know, term like synergy that you use for, you know, businessy talk that means nothing.
Paradigm shift.
It's all churchy buzzwords.
Mm-hmm. Who doesn't love churchy buzzwords? Oh, wait, everyone. Mm-hmm. But fortunately, we have some guidance here. What the synodal process asks. It asks us to be open to what the Holy Spirit is revealing in this encounter.
Okay.
Each of us to go out and have conversations with people.
Like not like we're doing right in here.
No,
we're not really having a conversation. This is all one-sided.
No, we're having a conversation.
We are having a conversation,
but we're not going to be really good at the listening, which seemed to be the major point of listening to others, you know, stuff.
But please comment
along
below.
with praying God would direct you in whatever you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. But
if you
mostly
comment,
listening.
If you comment, we will listen to the thoughts and feelings that you are conveying.
I kind of want to, you know, have one of the people who writes a book about crazy random things and be like, hey, Bishop, this is what they said. And see what he does with it.
This is what he asked for. Okay, so... there's suggested questions for a conversation.
Okay.
And because this is a data gathering exercise, prior to asking the individual the following questions, please note their age, sex, zip code, race or ethnicity, marital status, faith of origin, and present faith identity. Those are going to be extremely difficult things to get from the kind of commenters who leave novels.
Well, they're also not necessarily going to be easy to get from the kind of really off-the-cuff and more intimate conversations that he was suggesting to have.
Well, for most of them, you would know, except for possibly zip code.
That's fair.
He discussed going out to friends and family who aren't Catholic. So,
exactly.
You know, you would know most of their basic information.
That's fair. I'm just saying it was advertised as like a casual, you know, conversation kind of a thing.
Sure, but again, like Jessica says, you know these things.
That's fair.
I'm pretty sure if you just listed a city, it would be, you know, close enough.
Yeah. The sad truth is we all have friends who are far from the church. We all have friends who grew up Catholic and have fallen away.
Yeah, I probably got at least one of those.
You may not have known them when they were growing up, But I guarantee that somebody you know grew up Catholic and has fallen away. That's just the statistics.
Yeah, no, that's probably a good shot.
I mean, at the very least, on the technicality of, one of my friends who was baptized, and then immediately the family stopped going to any church whatsoever.
All right, so you want to sign for First Communion?
No, not even that.
Not even that. We are to prayerfully encounter the other person who, sadly, may be living far from the teachings of the church. We are to dialogue with that person in a way that is cooperative and with the purpose of building relationship and exchanging perspectives. Now, this is one of the things that Pope Francis gets a lot of really unfair criticism for. This is supposed to be a listening exercise. There's a lot of us who want to just go out in a pompous, oftentimes militaristic way and just impose the truth upon people.
You ought to be Catholic. I mean, that's just the God-given truth.
I barely know you, but here's why you're wrong.
Yep.
Whereas, in this instance, we have to adopt a much more Christ-like humility and actually listen to people.
Okay.
I have to say that is something I am working on learning to do.
Mm-hmm.
As the person who I was given for our CAA, most of the stuff she says is not at all like a problem.
Mm-hmm.
However, her way of seeing things is much more like how the mystics would see it,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, on the surface, this seems wrong.
But
Explain more.
But when you dig deeper, no,
and
this
you're
is
like,
okay.
Nope, that's reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah. We are to acknowledge with sensitivity any trauma, abuse, or a deep hurt that person has suffered as the result of previous encounters with members of the church.
Because those things can happen.
They sadly do.
Some people, most people, suck.
Mm-hmm. And now, remember, who is a member of the church? All the baptized. Mm-hmm. So this doesn't mean that you necessarily had a bad experience with a priest or a deacon or the really mean parish secretary.
Maybe you had that Catholic friend who was always judging you about how
Not
Catholic you weren't.
Yeah.
Like I do to all of my Catholic friends.
Mm-hmm.
But I do it privately, so that way they don't know. That makes it better, right?
No.
All right, I probably need to confess that one.
I mean, occasionally there are ones where it's like, yeah, that is completely wrong. And usually when it's the case of that, but there are various reasons why they mentally cannot understand what is right.
But I don't do it to you. You. I don't do that to you,
wait,
so don't worry.
Not that one.
No, not you. You.
I'm going to cut so much stuff out of this episode.
We are asked, and this is the difficult part, to be patient with that person who may be speaking out of woundedness. Now, this one really cut me because I know that my natural tendency is to want to give people answers. Whereas, the general male characteristic of, well, if there's a problem, I want to provide a solution. But often what people really need is not for us to come in high-handed and say, oh, I know exactly what you need. But for us simply to listen and experience, try to empathize with the other person's point of view.
I hear what you're saying.
Exactly. The key is sincerity. Once you learn to fake that. So, I understand the desire to go out and proclaim Christ. And that is what each and every one of us has been commissioned to do in our baptism.
Gotta convert the world, man.
But in order to convert the world, we have to know the best means to do so. And so it makes sense. So instead of telling people, these are the reasons why you should believe, listen to what they're saying, listen to the reasons why perhaps they don't believe, and then you'll know all the better to approach them. For example, let's say that somebody they have no intellectual objections to the faith at all. They've just known too many Catholics who are complete jerks.
Mm-hmm.
So then...
I've known some of those too.
Yeah. Hi. So then just going at them with... like Aquinas' 5 proofs is not going to be the most effective thing.
No.
Whereas there are other people who've been told that faith is unreasonable, and then a much more intellectual approach might be the way to go. But in order to know that, we have to encounter the other person, who, even though far from God, is still made in his image and likeness. And try to understand where they're coming from.
Well, and for all those of you who are out there and who are like, but I gotta convert the world. You gotta remember one really important thing, and this is super important. You cannot convert the world if you don't remember this. You cannot convert the world. I was having a conversation with somebody one time, and I met them at a convention, and they came to realize that I was Catholic, and they were like, "So are you going to try and convert me now?" And my response was, "Why? Are you ready for me to convert you?" And they were like, "No," and I'm like, "Well, that's good because I can't do it anyways."
Amen. So, in order for all of us, and the church especially, the institutional church, to know how best to speak to the world, we have to listen to the world. And so we're each being invited to take up the responsibility that the Second Vatican Council called to us to be a witness before the world. In this case, as a part of Christ the Healer, we need to listen to people and really hear what they're saying. And then pass that along the chain.
Okay.
So, I enjoy listening to people, poke fun at the Synod, cast aspersions on the Synod. And
Well,
sure,
that's the kind of guy you are. I mean,
it's the kind of guy I am. And and the artwork that the Vatican has put out is truly lamentable.
I think they just randomly go up to someone who says, graphic design is my passion, and be like, go ahead.
That and the fact that they managed to find a type font that is actually more Comic Sans than Comic Sans.
Just awful. But instead of just naysaying, and make no mistake, we hear the Popish plot.
We can naysay with the best of them.
We're champs.
Listen, you think in 2,000 years, after all that great art, they'd find someone who could make good artwork? Yeah, every single time.
It took a long time for the church to get this broken. It will take a long time to get her fixed again.
There's two things I'm really good at. Drinking and naysaying.
And those are not necessarily unrelated.
Not necessarily.
But in this one instance, let us all do what we can to contribute to the Synod. Because none of us are bishops, so we won't be participating in the actual Synod. But if you take this to prayer, and there is a great prayer that you're encouraged to pray before you speak to whoever you speak to, we can give our bishops more accurate information, a more accurate picture of the world they're trying to evangelize. And then they could actually, hope against hope, produce better documents and better results out of the Synod when it takes place next year.
Wait, we're not going to be at the Synod?
See,
So what did I... So wait, that guy I bought tickets from, he was not selling tickets to the Synod?
There are no tickets to the Synod on StubHub. None at all.
See, here, I was hoping that maybe a bishop does watch us, because with very, very few exceptions, I'd be like, we will put you on the show. What do you want to talk about?
Well,
I mean, realistically, we don't even have to do this quid pro quo, all right? You want to be on the show, you
can talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, seriously.
But not...
We will give you a soapbox.
With the caveat,
It might be really small in cardboard, but I mean, it'll be a soapbox.
So, let's get synodal. It's going to be very exciting.
We're excited. Are you excited?
Comment below about how excited you are for the Synod on synodality.
And while you're down there, remember to hit the subscribe button, the bell next to it, so you get notified when new episodes come out. And Mike's favorite shape, the thumbs up button. Because thumbs ups are cool, and it's not like it does anything terribly bad.
Thumbs up to the Synod.
Yeah.
And until next time, remember to
live your faith.
Love your faith.
Share that love. And synodal.
And making fun of mullets.
Synodal, Addy.
Churchy-ish stuff, I don't know. This seems like synergy, but for religion.
Churchy stuff and religious purposes.